Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt. So what do we have in store for this week? I don't know. I've got a couple things cooking. I'm hoping to go buy something new, and hopefully maybe we'll get to work on the old Ford F-250 that's been just sitting for the last few months, not getting anything done to it. I don't know. So stay tuned. Let's see what happens. It's Tuesday afternoon. Let's go buy a new toy. Tool. We need the trailer, but I guess we ought to put the ramp up. Skeeter's going along for the ride, aren't you, dog? Yeah? There's your clue. On our way home, in fact, almost home, and we have the package. What do you suppose it is? There she is, 37-ton log splitter. Okay, maybe you're not as excited about it as I am. If you had some wood like this to split, you might feel differently. Anyway, sometimes it pays to procrastinate. When I looked at the thing online last week, it was $2,000. When I went down there today to buy it, it was $1,500. So hey, that's a win. Now we just need to get it up and running. That's coming. It's Thursday morning. We could be at home using a new log splitter or who knows what else. But instead, Skeeter and I, we're going to take the side-by-side out and enjoy the day. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and Dog and I are going to start heading back to the truck. It's been a good day. Weather's been good. Just a little chilly, not too bad. But we've had a good time. So I wanted to show you guys this tree. The thing came down last winter. I remember we had to snowmobile around it. It takes a really big saw to cut it out of here. I counted the rings on it and I counted more than 175. The thing's more than 175 years old. Now granted, most of the trees in here nowhere near that old, but there are a few bigger ones around. So that's about it. We're gonna head back to the truck. Yeah, it was a good ride. A little dusty. Now I come back, got my toolbox. See if I'm smart enough to get it open. There we go. All the straps are right in there. Loaded up and strapped down, about ready to hit the road. All right, so the spare tire, I'm kind of in a little bit of a hole right here. I don't like how close it is to the ground. But again, I'm in kind of a hole right here, so still judging on that, not quite sure. The the wheel tie downs straps system, I really like that. It makes life so much easier. I'm certainly glad I did that. I should have done a long time ago. And so far, happy with the toolbox, but time will tell on that. You know, if you're in the market for a Kawasaki Teryx or a side-by-side, everybody will tell you that the Teryx is loud, slow, and hot. Yeah, it is on all three. If you're looking for a real sporty UTV, then this is not the one. But if you're looking for a budget-friendly one with a great track record for durability and a 3-year factory warranty, which none of the rest of them have, Teryx might be for you. I kind of went into it blindly. I was looking for cheap, and so we found the Teryx, but I've come to love it anyway, just because of the durability of it. Two things I would do different. I got this little quarter windshield. You know, it serves a purpose. It was budget friendly. That was the main reason I did it, but I want a full windshield for it, and the only way to go is glass. Plastic will just scratch if you ride in dusty conditions. And the other thing is the top. I went with a fabric top because it was cheap, but I wished I'd gone with the hard top, which is made of plastic, because this one I've got to take off every time I trailer with it and stow it. So it is what it is. Anyway, gonna head home. Tomorrow we're gonna fire up the new log splitter and see what that does. Well, that's not good. And that's a new tire too. Well, new last year. I heard a terrible racket. I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, now I'll see if I've got everything I need to change it. While I do have some half-inch drive sockets, just so happens that the lug wrench for the truck actually works. And I'm using the jack out of the truck too, which isn't ideal. I thought I had a hydraulic jack in the truck, but apparently I don't. I need to get it back in there. I don't know if I'm quite high enough or not. It was for a flat tire, but to get the other tire back on. The fact that it's 14 inch, maybe it'll help. I don't know, we'll see. The new tire is on, mostly. I still need to finish tightening up the lug nuts. I did not have enough clearance, and so I took a shortcut and I just used my shovel and my hammer to dig out the gravel underneath, so I had room to get the tire on there. But I didn't quite have enough room, so it's not, I wasn't able to slide the bottom all the way on, so I'm just going to pull forward, and as it rotates I'm going to tighten all the lug nuts up. So the bolts holding the spare tire on, just being expeditious, I just used an adjustable wrench. So anyway, we're pretty much done here. I'm just going to pull forward and tighten everything up and then hit the road. There she is in all her glory. Black Diamond is the brand. Now, I'm not sure that's really all that important. They're probably all made in about the same place. This one's got a Briggs & Stratton engine, so that's good. This is a 37 ton. The 38 ton actually had a Honda engine on it, but it was also $400 more. And I say $400 more. This one, the original price was $19.99, so $2,000. When I looked it up on the website the day I bought it, it was $1,700, $16.99. And when I actually went down to pick it up, they sold it to me for $14.99. So there you go. And then they had already serviced it, so they say I bought it at Coastal Farm and Ranch, which means they put all the hydraulic fluid in it and they added oil. And he checked the oil level before I left and put some oil in there, and I almost wonder if it's over full now. So we're going to check that first thing. You know, it's not over full. It's actually just a little below the upper mark, so that's good enough. So without reading the instructions, let's see if we can get it started. I see there's a on-off switch here. That's run, I think, or is that off? I think that's run. Throttle here. We've got fuel on and off. And then we need to choke it. Oh my God, we got cat fight going on here. And probably better bring the throttle up a little bit. Let's see if she starts. Yep, she's a runner. All right, you guys didn't get to see it, but it just died. But you know what? Because I'm an idiot, I actually turned the fuel off instead of turning it on. Couldn't figure out why it was running so weird. Let's get it fired back up again. there's a little pile of wood. It goes pretty quick. It'd be more helpful if I had another set of hands to help move wood on and off, but not bad. It's very loud. It struggles with some of the bigger pieces, but it's a 37 ton. Can't get much bigger, and I certainly wouldn't have gone any smaller. So, but overall, I'm happy. It's not leaking. It's run just like it should. So, I'm going to call this one a win. Yay. And tell you what, I've split this stuff by hand in the past, and that was a lot of work. This is a whole lot easier. I've been dragging my feet long enough. It's time to figure out what the exhaust noise is on this old F-250. Let's get it put in the shop. What is the problem and what is the plan of attack? The problem is what I believe is a massive exhaust leak coming from the right exhaust manifold. And it stems back to the fact that a long time ago there's 10 studs holding the manifold on. 5 of them were broken. I took it to a dealer or a repair shop. They replaced 9 of them, and they managed to screw one up so bad that it is missing. And then they delivered it back to me with a worse exhaust leak than when I took it in. It sat for a year. I finally got around to doing something about it. And in the process, I found exhaust manifold gaskets that were highly compressible, and they're used for headers. And so I bought a set of those, and it took care of the leak. It was not a problem until now. And so what I wonder is either the gaskets continue to compress and deform, and maybe they're just more susceptible to leaking, or something. So I think that's probably what the problem is. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the wheel off. I'm going to get up in there and see if I can inspect a little bit and see anything. If that doesn't work, I'm going to take the inner fender liner out, which is what was done before, and that gives me easy access to the exhaust manifold and gaskets. So let's just start by getting the tire off and then see if we can see anything up in there. Hey there, Bear. Hi, buddy. How you doing? Yeah. Hi. Yeah, you missing Dad? Yeah? Okay. What a sweet boy, huh? Yes. Just came down to check on Dad's progress, huh? Okay. I gotta get back to work. With the tire out of the way, we can better get up in there. Of course, I've kind of got the light shining where you can't get a good view. You can see part of the gasket right there. I don't know how well you can see that. I think that's the problem right there. Just on the edge of the shadow, right near that bolt. I can't get good light on it. There a little bit. You can see there's some exhaust uh, signs on that manifold right there. And then it's hard to see, but it looks like the manifold gasket, I can't get the thing to focus, is blowing out a little bit right there. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this, and I suspect this is probably the problem. And while it may be possible to reach all those manifold nuts without pulling the inner fender liner out, it's just so much easier if that liner's out of the way. I mean, it just opens everything up. So even though it's a little bit of work, in the long run it'll be a lot easier. So let's get that pulled. There doesn't seem to be such a thing as quality workmanship anymore. When this thing was in the shop getting the exhaust manifold studs replaced and everything, they had the inner fender liner out. Not only did they put it back in incorrectly, but this thing here, they never bolted it back down or screwed it back down. And honestly, I didn't either. But you know, these are the kind of things that should be done. So normally you'd have to come in here and unhook things like this, and there's a wiring harness down in there that you can't see that needs to be disconnected. But because it was never fixed when they put it back together, it'll make it easier for us this time. We've got one little plastic push-pull pin there to get rid of, and then mainly it's just a bunch of little itty bitty bolts. Well, that one's a screw all the way up and around here. So I'll go ahead and get that removed. Don't you just hate it when the U.S. auto manufacturers can't get their shit together? You know, this truck is a 99. It should be all metric, but no, there's about 5% of it that's not. And this little screw bolt right here is one of them that is not. Arg. The good news is the fender liner's out. Bad news is it wasn't without casualty. Busted one of the little retainer bolts off. Oh well, minor detail. Now you can see we've got easy access to the exhaust manifold. I'm a little concerned about that stud back in there getting that nut off. The rest of them that I've looked at so far don't look to be a real problem, but we'll see. The goal is to not break any of them. I went ahead and sprayed all the manifold bolts, nuts with some Krolls, and believe it or not, all the top ones, I've broken them loose, and I suspect all the bottom ones will come loose too. I was getting ready to swing a ratchet from the bottom, and just behind that frame rail is where the starter is, and I thought, you know what? Starters have live power going to them, and maybe, or at least down by the solenoid, so maybe I don't want to be swinging a ratchet until I disconnect the battery. You know, you're always supposed to disconnect the battery before you start working on a vehicle. Of course, I never do. Lights out, battery's disconnected. Interestingly, it was an 8mm instead of a 10, and I'm sure they do that because everybody knows you always lose a 10mm wrench. This way you'll have a wrench. So that was good. Little Bailey came down to visit. Hi, sweetheart. How you doing, little girl? But she doesn't really like it when Daddy touches her. Only when she's in a snuggly mood, which is not very often. And get your minds out of the gutter. I don't mean inappropriately touch. I mean just give her some pets. Jeez, guys. I've got all the bottom nuts off. So right now they're only holding in place for the top nuts. What I want to do is that flange there where the exhaust system comes into the manifold. I'm going to undo those two bolts there so it can drop away. That'll give me more room to move the manifold around when I do break it free. I've run into a problem. In order to get the nuts loose for the where the exhaust comes up to the manifold, I need a 15mm socket, but I need one that is an impact one. And my impact sockets go from 14 to 16. I don't have a 15. And the only 15 deep I've got is in 3/8 drive, and I really at least need a 1/2-inch drive. So I'm going to head to the auto parts store and see if I can find the socket I need. Back from the hardware store, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to break the nut loose, or I'm going to break the nut off, but either way that manifold's coming out. Now I don't want to break the nut, or I don't want to break the manifold stud, but at least if I get the manifold out, I'll be able to work on it. So let's just hope it comes apart like it's supposed to. I win. It took air. Pro tip, one of them would not come loose. So instead I tried tightening a little bit and then loosening it. And I was actually able to make it turn just a little bit tighter. And then it came just a little bit looser, and then a little bit tighter, and then a little more looser. And I kept doing that until finally it spun all the way off. If I just kept hammering on it, I might have broke it off. And there's always a risk of breaking it off anyway, but again, just tighten it just a little bit to break the threads loose, and then it'll back out. Sometimes. This time it worked. All right, we've got all the nuts off except for one. So once I pull that one, the manifold should fall off or pry off, one of the two. When you're working by yourself, you sometimes have to get creative. I've got a strap hooked to the upper part of the pipe going down, and then it's hooked down on the bottom of the cab to pull it apart enough so I can get that. See, that joint there's got to separate enough to pull the manifold straight off. I'm almost there. And she's out. All right, you can see the mating surface there. Definitely I had a leak across here. Yeah, the blowout was right there. Looked like I might have something going on over here. I don't know, I think the worst of it was right there. And you can see what's left of the gasket. Get some light up in there. Coming across. It's hard to tell, but I need to peel all that off and get the new one on. I've got the cylinder head mating surface cleaned up good enough. Interestingly, I've got my center piston there. There's a little bit of oil in there. I got a little bit of blow-by on that one, I guess. But it's got 189,000 miles on it, so we're not going to worry about it. And then we've got the surface cleaned up here on the manifold. So now we're getting ready to put it back together. And here's the manifold gasket that we're using. If you look, you'll notice it's really thick. I'm not sure if you can tell how thick it is, but it is thick. And it's made for applications like this where you don't have perfect mating surfaces. But if this one blows out as quickly as the last one did, then I don't think I'm going to try them again. These gaskets are the same from side to side, and that's good because I bought a set of two. They come in a pair, and I didn't have to replace the one on the driver's side. So I had this one left over. If this one blows out, I'm going to go back to a different, more of a factory type of gasket. So we'll see. This is a lot of work, so I hope it lasts for a good long time. So let's get it put back together. I've got the manifold back in place, and I've got the nuts on. You can see that I used some anti-seize on all of them. Had it all over my fingers, had it all over the floor. You know, it stuff's always a mess. So now getting ready to torque it. The final torque spec is supposed to be 20 foot-pounds. I'm going to do 10, then I'm going to do 20, and then probably we'll go to 30 because 20 really isn't enough, as I recall from last time. So let me get it all torqued down. It's Saturday evening, about 5 o'clock. If you look there, you can see there's another broken stud. That one broke as I was tightening everything back up. I swear I didn't over-tighten it, at least not on purpose, but now I'm having second thoughts to whether my torque wrench is working like it's supposed to. I'm almost thinking that it's not. Anyway, so that one's broken, and then that one there has been broken. I wasn't worried about that one. That one's not in a good location as far as clamping force goes. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do at this point. I do think this is going to be the end of this week's Procrastination Garage, and I'm going to take some time and figure it out. So I don't know. In theory, I could probably get a right angle drill in there and drill it out. My luck with drilling things out like that has not been good over the years. So I hate to even risk it because it'd be easy to get into the water jacket. In fact, the business that supposedly fixed this, when they did this one, they got into the water jacket and caused a leak. And anyway, they fixed the leak, but they didn't manage to put a stud back in there. So I don't know. First thing I'm going to do is get another torque wrench and double check and make sure mine is working right, but I don't think it is. Like I said, I think I might have over-torqued it now. And this stud here looked to be one of the original ones, as rusty as it was compared to the rest of them. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if that one broke, other than the fact that I'm trying to put this back together. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to take some time to regroup, and we'll come back to this project. It's now Sunday. It's time to wrap up this episode of Procrastination Garage. So last night I did a little sleuthing on the internet, and you know, what I found is it certainly is a common problem breaking off stud bolts on these Triton engines. And I already knew that a little bit, but there's some tools out there to help you fix it. And I went ahead and ordered one, and really what it is, it's a guide that helps you line up exactly over the bolt to drill it out, and then use an easy out to pull it. So I've got one on order. It's not a cheap part. Is, I don't know, about 80 bucks, I think. But, you know, if it saves me having to haul it to a service place, and then it's money saved. So anyway, that's on order. Hopefully I'll have that and maybe work on that next week's Procrastination Garage. So remember, the goal of Procrastination Garage is to get me out in my shop doing things, anything, just to keep me from sitting on the couch watching TikTok or other people's YouTube videos. So Procrastination Garage has been a success for that. I hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, I hope you subscribe. I hope you hit the like button. And hey, tell your friends about it as well. So until next week, my name is Matt. This is Procrastination Garage, and get out in your shop or yard and do some projects and tell me about it down in the comments. So till next time.